Captain Lee Dong-woo stood at the viewing window of the transport ship Harmony, watching the massive Nexus Prime station grow larger in the distance. The station was like nothing humanity had ever built. It stretched across space like a metal city, with towers that sparkled with alien lights and docking bays that could hold ships the size of mountains. "First time seeing it never gets old," said Chief Engineer Park So-min as she joined him at the window. Her voice carried excitement, mixed with nervousness. "Hard to believe we're actually here." Dong-woo nodded, adjusting his crisp blue diplomatic uniform. After 3 years of preparing for this moment, humanity was finally going to meet the Galactic Council. 7 alien races had ruled the galaxy in peace for over 2,000 years. Now, Earth wanted to join them. "Are you ready for this?" asked Kim Tae-hyun, the military advisor. He was younger than the others, but had studied every known alien species for the past 5 years. "These beings have technology we can barely understand. Some of them are older than human civilization." The 4th member of their team, xenobiologist Choi Ji-won, looked up from her data pad. "I've been studying their languages and customs for months. The key is showing respect while demonstrating our value. We need to prove that humans deserve a place among them." Their ship docked with a soft thud. The airlock opened with a hiss, and they stepped into Nexus Prime Station. The corridor was enormous, with ceilings that disappeared into darkness above. Strange beings moved past them, some floating, some walking on multiple legs, others that seemed to be made of pure energy. A tall, thin creature with blue skin and 4 arms approached them. "Greetings, humans. I am Guide Keltar. The Council is ready to see you." They followed Keltar through halls that seemed to shift and change as they walked. The station used technology that bent space itself, making distances shorter. What should have been a long walk took only minutes. The council chamber was breathtaking. 7 massive seats arranged in a circle, each designed for a different type of being. At the center stood a platform where the humans would make their presentation. "Members of the Galactic Council," announced Keltar. "I present the delegation from Earth." The first being to speak was Vex-Tari, the council leader. It looked like a living crystal, tall and sharp, with light pulsing through its body. When it spoke, its voice sounded like music mixed with the sound of breaking glass. "So," Vex-Tari said, "these are the humans we have heard about, the species that still fights wars on their home planet. Tell us, why should we allow such primitive beings into our peaceful union?" Dong-woo stepped forward. He had practiced this speech 1,000 times. "Honored council members, humanity comes before you not as conquerors, but as learners. We seek to join the galaxy's greatest civilizations and contribute our unique perspective to the peace you have built." A creature that looked like a giant insect with silver wings laughed. The sound was like metal scraping against metal. "Unique perspective? What could a species that still uses chemical rockets possibly offer us?" Park So-min spoke up. "Our rockets may use chemical fuel, but they are reliable and simple. Sometimes the best solutions are the ones that work without fail." "Simple?" said another council member, this one appearing as a cloud of purple gas with sparkling lights inside. "We abandoned such crude methods millennia ago. Our ships use quantum drives that can cross the galaxy in days." "And yet," said Kim Tae-hyun carefully, "our ships have never failed in deep space. Can you say the same about your quantum drives?" Several council members made sounds that might have been laughter or might have been anger. It was hard to tell with beings so different from humans. Choi Ji-won stepped forward with her data pad. "We have studied your histories and cultures. Humanity offers something unique, our ability to adapt and survive in any situation. We have lived through ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters. Each time, we have grown stronger." "Survival through violence," said Vex-Tari. "This is exactly why you do not belong here. The Galactic Council has maintained peace for 2,000 years. We have evolved beyond the need for conflict. But we're not talking about violence, Dongwu said. We're talking about the strength to face challenges. When problems arise, humans find solutions. We don't give up. A being that looked like a tree made of metal spoke in a voice like wind through leaves. Your species wages war on itself. Your planet is divided into competing nations. You have weapons that could destroy your entire world. How is this evolution? Because we learned from our mistakes, Dongwu replied. Yes, we had wars. Yes, we made weapons. But we also learned to work together. The nations of Earth are united, now in a way they never were before. We chose cooperation over destruction. Pretty words, said Vextari, but your actions speak louder. Your ships carry military weapons. Your technology is designed for war. Our ships carry defensive weapons, Kim Tae-hyun corrected. And our technology serves many purposes. The same engines that power our warships also power our exploration vessels and cargo ships. Crude technology, repeated the insect-like being. You fight with metal projectiles and chemical explosives. We have moved beyond such primitive methods. Our weapons use pure energy. Our defenses are made of force fields that can stop anything. Park So-min looked frustrated. Just because something is old doesn't mean it's wrong. A hammer is old technology, but it still drives nails better than anything else. A hammer? The purple gas creature seemed amazed. You compare your military technology to a hammer? This proves our point. You are not ready for the sophistication of galactic society. The debate went on for hours. Each time the humans explained their achievements, the council dismissed them as primitive. When they talked about human art and culture, the aliens called it crude. When they mentioned scientific discoveries, the council said they had made the same discoveries thousands of years ago. Finally, Vextari raised one crystal arm for silence. We have heard enough. The council will now vote on humanity's application to join our union. One by one, each council member voted. The crystal being the insect creature, the purple gas, the metal tree, and 3 others whose forms were even stranger. Each vote was the same. No. Vexatari's voice rang through the chamber. The vote is unanimous. Humanity's application is rejected. You will return to your home system and remain within a 50 light-year boundary. When you have evolved beyond your violent nature and developed actual technology instead of your crude tools, perhaps we will reconsider. The crystal being leaned forward. Until then, confine yourselves to your little corner of space. The galaxy has no place for species that solve problems with violence and primitive machines. Dongwu felt his heart sink, but he kept his voice steady. We thank the council for their time and consideration. Humanity will remember this day. I'm sure you will, said Vextari with what might have been amusement. Goodbye, humans. Try not to destroy yourselves before you grow up. The 4 humans were escorted back to their ship in silence. As they prepared to leave, Dongwu looked back at the massive station one more time. They made a mistake, he said quietly. What do you mean? Asked Park So-min. They think being advanced means being soft. They've forgotten that sometimes the simplest solutions are the best ones. And they've definitely forgotten that the most dangerous thing in the universe is someone who has nothing left to lose. Tharlit. Harmony undocked from Nexus Prime Station and began its long journey back to Earth. Behind them, the Council continued their peaceful rule of the galaxy, confident that they had made the right choice in rejecting the primitive humans. They had no idea how wrong they were. 15 years had passed since the Council's rejection, and Earth was not the same planet that had sent Captain Lee Dong-woo to Nexus Prime Station. In the presidential palace in New Geneva, President Yoon Hai-ri stood before a wall of screens, showing humanity's progress across the solar system and beyond. Show me the latest reports, she said to her aide. The screens lit up with data. Mars now had 12 cities with over 10 million people. The asteroid belt was filled with mining stations pulling precious metals from floating rocks. Europa and Titan had research bases studying alien technology that humans had quietly collected from abandoned sites near their border. But the most important work was happening in secret. Dr. Jang Min-ho walked through his laboratory on Ganymede, checking the latest test results. His team had been working on something the Council thought was impossible, making human ships faster than anything in the galaxy. The quantum fold drive is ready for testing, he told his assistant, Dr. Kim Hye-jin. We've solved the stability problem that has kept everyone else from perfecting this technology. How did we do what species with thousands more years of experience couldn't do? Kim Hye-jin asked. Dr. Jang smiled. Because we didn't try to make it perfect. We made it work. The Council species want elegant solutions that never break down. We built something that works even when half of it is damaged. Across the solar system, Admiral Song Kyung-mi was reviewing reports from the Silent Fleet. These ships were humanity's greatest secret, vessels that could travel through space without being detected by any known sensor technology. Captain Lim Soo-young reporting from the edge of the restricted zone, came a voice through the communication system. We've completed our survey of the Kepler region. The alien automated defenses are still in place, but they haven't been updated in over 50 years. Any signs that the Council knows we're out there? Asked Admiral Song. None. Their patrol ships follow the same routes they've used for decades. They're not even looking for us. In another secret facility, engineer Kang Woo-jin was working on adaptive artificial intelligence systems. Unlike the rigid AI that other species used, human computers could learn and change during battle. The new AI core just defeated a simulation of Council defense systems, reported his colleague, Dr. Nam Yu-jin. It learned their patterns in less than 10 minutes and found 17 different ways to get past their shields. Good, said Kang Woo-jin. The Council thinks their technology is perfect because it follows rules. Our technology gets better every time it faces something new. On Earth's moon, Dr. Im Ye-jin was completing the final tests on biological adaptation chambers. These machines could change human bodies to survive in any environment, from the crushing depths of gas giant atmospheres to the freezing vacuum of space. The test subject survived 6 hours in Titan's atmosphere without a suit, she reported to President Yoon. The adaptation was complete in 30 minutes. Any side effects? Asked the president. Some discomfort during the change, but no permanent damage. We can now send humans anywhere in the galaxy and they'll be able to survive. While humanity worked in secret, the Galactic Council continued their peaceful rule. On Nexus Prime Station, Vexitari was discussing routine matters with other Council members. The quarterly reports show no conflicts anywhere in Council space, said the insect-like being. Our automated systems continue to maintain perfect order. What about the humans? Asked the purple gas creature. Have they caused any problems in their restricted area? None, replied Vexitari. They seem to have accepted their place. Our sensors show normal development, some expansion to nearby planets, basic space travel, nothing concerning. What the Council's sensors didn't show was the network of hidden bases that humanity had built just outside their permitted zone. Captain Park Joon-ho commanded one of these bases from an asteroid that had been hollowed out and filled with monitoring equipment. We're picking up increased communication traffic near the galactic rim, reported Lieutenant Shin Eun-mi. Something's got the outer colonies worried. Can you identify what it is? Asked Captain Park. Not yet. The signals are encoded, but our new AI systems are working on breaking their encryption. Whatever it is, it's big enough to make entire solar systems go silent. On Earth, President Yoon was meeting with her top advisors. The room was filled with the people who had spent 15 years preparing humanity for whatever came next. Our technology is now better than anything the Council has, reported Defense Minister Ko Jin-woo. Our ships are faster, our weapons are more effective, and our people can survive anywhere. More importantly, added Dr. Jong Min Ho, our technology is flexible. When we encounter something new, we can adapt. The Council species have been using the same methods for so long that they've forgotten how to change. Admiral Song Kyung-mi brought up a star map. Our scout ships have identified over 200 Council defense weaknesses. Their automated systems follow predictable patterns. Their ships use technology that hasn't been updated in centuries. They've become soft, said General Bayek Tae-won. 2,000 years of peace has made them forget how to fight. President Yoon nodded. The question is, what do we do with this advantage? We could break their restrictions and expand beyond our boundaries, but that would start a war. Maybe we don't have to do anything, suggested Intelligence Director Oh Min-kyung. Our long-range sensors are detecting some kind of disturbance at the galaxy's edge. Whatever's happening out there, it might solve our problem for us. Far from Earth, on the edge of known space, automated monitoring stations were sending their final transmissions. Something was coming, something vast and hungry that consumed everything in its path. The Kepler colony sent its last message on a Tuesday. Unknown contacts approaching, massive signatures. They're not responding to communication attempts, requesting immediate assistance from, then silence. The Vega research station lasted 3 days longer. The ships, they're not ships. They're machines. They're eating the planet. They're turning everything into, oh God, they're here. More silence. The Council's automated systems filed these reports as equipment failures. After 2,000 years of peace, they had forgotten that silence could mean something far worse than broken communication equipment. But humanity was listening. In secret bases scattered across space, human operators heard the screams and recorded the final moments of alien colonies. They watched as bright stars on the galactic map went dark one by one. Captain Ro Jae-min commanded the scout ship Shadow, Walker at the edge of human space. His orders were simple: watch and learn, but don't be seen. Captain, called his sensor operator, Sergeant Lee Hae-won, I'm detecting massive gravitational distortions near the Kepler system. Something big is happening out there. How big? Asked Captain Ro. Big enough to bend space around it. Whatever these things are, they're using technology that makes our fold drives look like chemical rockets. Back on Earth, President Yoon received the first confirmed reports of what was approaching. The images from human spy satellites showed machines the size of moons covered in metal tentacles that could crack planets like eggs. How long before they reach Council space? She asked. 6 months, maybe less, replied Admiral Song. And the Council still doesn't know they're coming. Dr. Jang Min-ho pulled up his calculations. Based on their current path, they'll hit the outer Council colonies first. If the Council's defenses are as weak as we think, the galaxy's about to find out why humans prepare for war, finished President Yoon. She looked around the room at the faces of the people who had spent 15 years being called primitive. Soon, very soon, the galaxy would learn that sometimes the most advanced civilization wasn't the one with the fanciest technology. Sometimes it was the one that remembered how to fight. The first sign of trouble came on a quiet morning when the Kepler research station simply stopped transmitting. On Nexus Prime Station, the duty officer marked it as a routine communication failure and scheduled a repair team for the following week. But Captain Ro Jae-min of the human scout ship Shadow Walker was watching from the darkness of space. Through his ship's advanced sensors, he saw something that made his blood run cold. "Report, Sergeant Lee Hae-won," he said to his sensor operator. "Sir, I'm reading massive energy signatures where Kepler Station used to be. The station, it's gone. So is the asteroid it was built on. In fact, sir, the entire asteroid field has disappeared." Captain Ro stared at the empty space on his screen. Kepler Station had been home to 12,000 researchers. The asteroid field had contained enough rock and metal to build 100 cities. All of it was simply gone, leaving nothing but empty space. "What could do that?" asked Lieutenant Park Da-yoon from the weapons station. Before anyone could answer, new contacts appeared on their sensors. The objects were massive, each one the size of a small moon, but moving with purpose and intelligence. They had long metal arms that reached out like tentacles, and their surfaces crawled with smaller machines. "They're scanning," whispered Sergeant Lee. "Sir, those things are looking for something." Captain Rowe made a decision that would save their lives. "Silent running. Cut all power except life support. If they find us, we're dead." The Shadow Walker went dark and drifted like a piece of space debris. Through passive sensors, they watched the massive machines work. The creatures were harvesting everything: asteroids, gas clouds, even cosmic dust. They broke down matter at the atomic level and used it to build more of themselves. "Devourers," breathed Captain Rowe. "They're eating the galaxy." 3 days later, the same fate struck the Vega system. The human ship Silent Star, commanded by Captain Kim Yun-soo, was conducting routine intelligence gathering when the Devourers arrived. 27 contacts, reported her navigation officer, Ensign Choi Min-jun. "They're surrounding the planet." Captain Kim watched in horror as metal tentacles descended from the massive ships. They touched the planet's surface and began to pull. Within hours, the entire world was being consumed, its matter converted into raw materials for more Devourer machines. "The population," whispered her communications officer, Lieutenant Yu Jae-hoon. 3 billion people lived there." "They're all gone," said Captain Kim quietly. "Send a coded message to Earth, highest priority. The galaxy is at war, and the enemy doesn't take prisoners." On Nexus Prime Station, the Council was finally beginning to notice that something was wrong. Emergency meetings were called as more and more colonies went silent. "This is impossible," declared Vexitari, the crystal leader of the Council. "Our sensors show no signs of hostile activity. These must be equipment failures." 27 systems don't all have equipment failures at the same time, argued the insect-like representative of the Helix Collective. "Something is destroying our outer colonies." The purple gas creature that spoke for the ethereal minds pulsed with worried light. "Our meditation networks have detected screams across space, fear and pain on a scale we have never sensed before." "Ridiculous," said Vextari. "We have maintained peace for 2,000 years. There are no hostile forces in this galaxy. That changed when the Proxima defense grid went offline." The Proxima system was one of the Council's most important military installations. It contained automated defense platforms that could destroy entire fleets. The system was designed to be impregnable. Nothing should have been able to get past its defenses. But the Devourers didn't fight the defenses. They simply absorbed them. "Emergency Council session," announced Vextari, panic creeping into his crystalline voice. "All representatives report to the main chamber immediately." In the Great Circular room where humanity had been rejected 15 years earlier, 7 alien species gathered to face their greatest crisis in millennia. "The situation is worse than we thought," reported Military Coordinator Thexnal, a being that looked like living metal. 31 systems have gone silent in the past week. Our automated defense networks are failing everywhere." "How is this possible?" demanded the representative of the Jade Collective, a creature that appeared to be made of living stone. "Our technology is perfect. Our defenses are impenetrable." "They were designed to fight enemies like us," replied Thexnal. "These new hostiles use completely different methods. They don't attack our shields, they absorb them. They don't fight our weapons. They convert them into more of themselves." On the main screen, images appeared from the few automated probes that had escaped the destroyed systems. The Council members watched in shocked silence as the Devourers worked. The machines moved like a plague, consuming everything in their path and growing stronger with each meal. "What are they?" asked the tree-like representative of the root networks. "We call them Devourers," came a voice from the back of the chamber. All heads turned to see Ambassador Bae Suho, humanity's liaison to the Council despite their non-member status. He had been allowed to observe Council meetings but never to speak. "You know about these things?" demanded Vextari. "We've been watching them destroy your outer colonies for months," replied Bae Suho calmly. "Our scout ships have been studying their methods and capabilities. And you said nothing?" The crystal being's voice rose to a painful pitch. Why would we? 15 years ago, you told us we were too primitive to deserve a place in your great civilization. You said our technology was crude and our methods were barbaric. You told us to stay in our corner of space like good little children. The council chamber fell silent. Ambassador Bay continued in the same calm voice. You rejected us. You laughed at us. You called us warmongers and said we had nothing to offer your peaceful galaxy. The situation has changed, said Vexatari quietly. Has it? Because from where I stand, it looks like your peaceful galaxy is being devoured by machines, while your perfect technology fails to stop them. The insect representative clicked its mandibles nervously. What do you want, human? Nothing, replied Bei Suho. We're perfectly safe in our little corner of space. The devourers seem to be focusing on council territory first. We have time to prepare our defenses. You can't be serious, gasped the purple gas creature. If we fall, you'll be next. Maybe, but that's our problem to solve. We're just primitive humans with crude technology, remember? What could we possibly do against enemies that your advanced civilization can't handle? Vexatari's crystal form flickered with desperate light. What would it take for humanity to assist us? Assist you? Ambassador Bay smiled. That's an interesting word choice. Let me think about what humanity might want in exchange for helping the Great Galactic Council. He paused dramatically. Full membership with immediate effect. Acknowledgement that human technology and methods have value, and complete command authority over all military operations against the devourers. Impossible, said several council members at once. Then good luck with your devourer problem, said Bei Suho, turning to leave. Wait, called Vextari. If we were to consider such terms, could humanity actually stop these machines? Ambassador Bay stopped and looked back at the council that had rejected his species. You called our weapons primitive. You said our ships were crude. You laughed at our methods. He smiled coldly. You're about to find out why everything you thought was wrong makes us exactly what the galaxy needs right now. At that moment, alarms began blaring throughout Nexus Prime Station. The great screens showed new contacts approaching, dozens of devourer ships, massive and hungry, heading straight for the heart of Council space. They're here, whispered Thexnal. Ambassador Bei Suho pulled out a communication device and spoke in rapid Korean. Within seconds, he received a reply. I've just contacted Earth, he announced. Help is coming. But remember, you rejected us first. This time we negotiate as equals, or you face the devourers alone. The council that had ruled the galaxy in peace for 2,000 years was about to learn what war really meant. The emergency negotiations took place in a heavily shielded room deep inside Nexus Prime Station. Outside, devourer ships were systematically destroying the outer defense platforms, their metal tentacles tearing apart technology that had protected the galaxy for centuries. Ambassador Bei Suho sat across from the 7 council representatives. For the first time in galactic history, an excluded species was dictating terms to the ruling body of known space. Your terms are unacceptable, said Vexastari, though his crystal form flickered with barely controlled panic. Humanity cannot simply take command of all galactic forces, then enjoy fighting the devourers with your failing technology, replied Bei Suho calmly. Our ships will remain safely in human space while you handle this crisis with your superior methods. The insect representative clicked frantically. You don't understand. These machines adapt to everything we throw at them. Our energy weapons become useless after the first few shots. Our force fields actually make them stronger. Sounds like a you problem, said diplomat Shin Yuri, who had arrived with the human negotiation team. Maybe you should have thought about that before calling us primitive. The purple gas creature pulsed with desperate light. Millions are dying every hour. Entire civilizations are being consumed. How can you sit there and negotiate while the galaxy burns? Admiral Han Gi-tae leaned forward. His uniform bore the insignia of the Human Defense Force, an organization that officially didn't exist according to council records. The same way you sat there 15 years ago and laughed while rejecting our membership. The same way you dismissed our technology and called us barbaric. That was different, protested the tree-like being. Was it? Asked Admiral Han. Because I remember Vexitari saying we should confine ourselves to our little corner of space until we evolved beyond our violent nature. Well, guess what? Our violent nature is exactly what you need right now. A new alarm sounded, and the chamber's screens showed the destruction of another defense platform. The Devourers were getting closer to the station's core. We don't have time for this, said the metal representative Thexnol. At their current rate of advance, they'll reach the inner systems within days. Bai Suho checked his communication device. I've just received word from Earth. The human defense fleet is ready to deploy, but we need an answer now. What exactly are your terms? Asked Vextari. Full membership for humanity in the Galactic Council with all rights and privileges, listed Shin Yuri. Formal acknowledgement that human technology and methods are valuable and effective. Complete command authority for human forces over all military operations against the Devourers, and a public apology for your previous treatment of our species. A public apology? The crystal being seemed shocked. You humiliated us, said Admiral Han. You made it clear that you considered us inferior. Now you want our help. Yes, you're going to apologize publicly and admit you were wrong. More alarms sounded as another section of the defense grid fell. The council members looked at each other with expressions that might have been fear, though it was hard to tell with such alien faces. If we agree, said Vextari slowly, what guarantee do we have that humanity can actually defeat these machines? Admiral, Han smiled grimly. The same guarantee you gave us when you said your perfect technology would keep the galaxy safe forever. We have been monitoring the Devourer attacks, added Shin Yuri. We know their weaknesses. Our crude human technology might just be exactly what's needed to stop them. The debate went on for another hour while the sounds of destruction grew closer. Finally, Vexitari called for a vote. All in favor of accepting human terms? One by one, the 7 council members voted yes. Fear had overcome pride. Then it's settled, announced Vexitari. Humanity is hereby granted full membership in the Galactic Council with immediate effect. Admiral Han Gi-tae is granted supreme command authority over all galactic military forces. Admiral Han stood and activated his communication system. All. Human ships! This is Fleet Command! Operation Payback is now active! Show them what primitive human technology can do! The response was immediate. Across human space, ships that had been hiding in the darkness suddenly appeared. The silent fleet decloaked near the battle zone, their black hulls invisible to Devourer sensors. Admiral, this is Captain Oh Min-seo of the stealth destroyer Night Strike, came a voice through the communication system. We're in position behind the enemy formation. They have no idea we're here. Captain Kwon Sung-ho of the battleship Iron Will reporting. Our kinetic cannons are locked and loaded. These machines are about to learn why humans still use metal bullets. The council members watched in amazement as the human fleet engaged the Devourers. The alien machines had adapted to every energy weapon the council possessed, but they had never encountered human kinetic weapons. Direct hit on the lead Devourer, reported Captain O. The railgun round went straight through their absorption. Field! They can't adapt to a chunk of metal moving at 30,000 kilometers per second. This is impossible, whispered Thexnol. Our analysis showed that kinetic weapons were obsolete. Against your technology, maybe, said Admiral Han. But these machines were designed to counter energy-based attacks. They absorb and redirect energy. They can't absorb a solid projectile. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had seen in Centuries. Human ships moved in patterns that seemed random, but were actually carefully planned chaos. Where alien tactics were precise and predictable, human strategy was wild and adaptive. "Commander Nam Tae Young here," came another voice. "I'm broadcasting random electromagnetic noise on all frequencies. It's confusing their hive mind communication. They can't coordinate properly." Dr. Lee Hyun-woo's voice joined the communication network. "Quantum virus deployment successful. I've infected their central processing units with code designed to create logical paradoxes. They're trying to solve problems that have no solution." The Devourers, for the first time since their arrival, began to retreat. Their perfect adaptation systems couldn't handle the chaotic unpredictability of human warfare. "How are you doing this?" asked Vextari in wonder. "Simple," replied Admiral Han. "You've spent 2,000 years fighting the same way, using the same tactics, the same technology. You became predictable. These machines adapted to counter everything in your arsenal because you fight like machines yourselves." "And humans fight differently?" "Humans fight like humans. We're unpredictable, adaptable, and just crazy enough to try things that shouldn't work. We use old technology mixed with new ideas. We break rules that other species consider sacred." On the main screen, they watched as Captain Seo Jun-ho's ship Retribution rammed directly into a Devourer vessel while firing explosive charges. The big alien machine tried to absorb the ship's energy but couldn't process the chemical explosives that detonated inside its hull. "You're using suicide attacks?" gasped the purple gas creature. "Not suicide," corrected Admiral Han. "Captain Seo ejected in an escape pod 2 seconds before impact. We call it aggressive ramming. Very effective against enemies who don't expect it." The tide of battle turned rapidly. Human weapons that the Council had dismissed as primitive proved devastatingly effective against an enemy that had adapted to counter-advanced technology. "Fleet Admiral Kwon Seung-ho to all ships," came a new voice. "The enemy is in full retreat. Pursuit course is approved. Let's remind them why they shouldn't have come to our galaxy." As the human fleet chased the fleeing Devourers, Ambassador Bae Suho turned to the stunned council members. "Any questions about the value of primitive human technology?" Vexatari's crystal form dimmed with what might have been embarrassment. "We may have misjudged your species." "Yes," said Bae Suho. "You did. The question now is whether you're smart enough to learn from your mistakes." The final battle took place at the center of the galaxy, where the massive black hole called Sagittarius A-star pulled everything toward its hungry darkness. The Devourers had retreated there for one last desperate plan, to consume the black hole itself and use its infinite energy to spread across the entire universe. Admiral Kwon Seung-ho stood on the bridge of the experimental ship Indomitable, watching the largest concentration of Devourer machines ever seen. Thousands of the massive constructs surrounded the black hole, their metal tentacles reaching toward the event horizon. "Sir," called pilot Ko Yunbi from her station, "the enemy ships are forming some kind of collection array. They're trying to harvest energy directly from the black hole. If they succeed," added Weapons Officer Seo Jun-ho, "they'll have enough power to build 1 billion more ships. Nothing in the galaxy will be able to stop them." Fleet Admiral Kwon nodded grimly. The human fleet had won every battle over the past 6 months, driving the Devourers back system by system, but this was their final stronghold. And they were desperate enough to try something that could destroy the entire galaxy. "Status report from all ships," he commanded. "Captain Park Dong-min of the Fury reporting ready," came the first response. "Our quantum virus bombs are armed and ready for deployment." Captain Lee Ji-hoon of the Vengeance standing by. Kinetic cannons loaded with depleted uranium rounds. Commander Yoon Soo-jin of the stealth ship Ghostwalker in position. "We're completely invisible to their sensors." One by one, the human fleet reported in. 300 ships carrying humanity's best weapons and most experienced crews. Against them stood 10,000 Devourer machines, each one the size of a moon. Back on Nexus Prime Station, the Galactic Council watched the battle preparations through long-range sensors. For 6 months, they had watched humanity do the impossible. Defeat an enemy that had consumed half the galaxy. "The humans are going to attack," observed Vexatari. "Their fleet is outnumbered 30-1. "They've been outnumbered in every battle," replied Ambassador Bei Suho. "It hasn't stopped them yet." "But this is different," said the insect representative. "If they fail here, the Devourers will become unstoppable. They'll have infinite energy." "Then, they won't fail," said Bei Suho simply. At the Galactic Center, Admiral Quan was making final preparations. The plan was insane, dangerous, and exactly the kind of thing that only humans would attempt. "All ships, this is Fleet Command. Operation Final Strike is now active. Remember, we only get one chance at this. If we fail, everything dies." The human ships moved forward in formation. The Devourers detected them immediately and began turning their massive weapons toward the approaching fleet. "Enemy fire incoming," called Lieutenant Choi Min-seo from the sensor station. "Energy beams strong enough to crack planets." "Evasive maneuvers," ordered Admiral Quan. "Don't let them get a lock on us." The human ships scattered like leaves in a storm, each one following a different path toward the target. This was humanity's greatest advantage. Where alien fleets moved in perfect formation, human ships fought like a pack of wolves, unpredictable and impossible to counter. "Ghostwalker to Fleet Command," came Commander Yoon's voice. "I'm through. Their perimeter. Beginning sabotage run on their energy collectors." The stealth ship appeared suddenly among the Devourer machines, firing explosive charges into their delicate collection arrays. The aliens tried to target the ship, but their sensors couldn't track something designed to be invisible. Meanwhile, Captain Park's Ship Fury was deploying Dr. Lee Hyun-woo's latest creation, quantum viruses that could infect the Devourer hive mind and turn their own intelligence against them. "Virus deployment successful," reported Captain Park. "The enemy's coordination is breaking down. They're starting to attack each other." But the main assault was still to come. Admiral Quan's ship, Indomitable, carried the most dangerous weapon humanity had ever built, a quantum cascade bomb that could create a permanent barrier around the black hole, preventing anything from entering or leaving. "Sir," called Ko Yun-bi from the pilot station, "we're approaching the event horizon. The gravity is starting to affect our systems." "Keep us steady," ordered Admiral Quan. "We need to get the bomb as close as possible for maximum effect." The Devourers realized what the humans were planning and threw everything they had at the Indomitable. Energy beams that could destroy stars focused on the single ship carrying humanity's last hope. "Shields failing," reported Engineer Nam Yubin. "Hull breach on Deck 7. We're losing atmosphere." "Reroute all power to the engines," commanded Admiral Quan. "We're going in whether the ship holds together or not." Around them, the human fleet fought with desperate courage. Ships rammed into Devourer machines rather than let them escape. Captains ordered their crews to safety while staying behind to ensure their weapons kept firing. Captain Oh Min-seo's ship Night Strike was caught in a Devourer tractor beam. Instead of trying to escape, she ordered all weapons to overload. "This is Captain Oh," she transmitted to the fleet. "Tell my family I died fighting the good fight." Her ship exploded in a ball of nuclear fire that destroyed 3 Devourer machines. "We're losing too many ships," reported Weapons Officer Seo Jun-ho. "The fleet can't hold out much longer." "We don't need much longer," replied Admiral Quan. "Ko Yun-bi, take us in, full speed toward the black hole." The Indomitable dove toward the event horizon, dodging energy beams and metal tentacles. The ship's hull screamed under the stress of gravity that could crush planets. "Bomb deployment in 10 seconds," announced Admiral Quan. "All hands, prepare for emergency evacuation." "Sir," said pilot Ko Yun-bi quietly, "at this distance the escape pods won't clear the blast radius in time." Admiral Quan looked around his bridge at the crew that had followed him into the mouth of death itself. "Then we make sure the bomb works. That's all that matters." 5 seconds to deployment. Called Seo Junho. It's been an honor serving with you all, said Admiral Kwan. The quantum cascade bomb deployed directly into the black hole's event horizon. For a moment, nothing happened. Then space itself began to change. A barrier of pure energy formed around the black hole, cutting it off from normal space forever. The devourers, caught in the cascade effect, were trapped on the wrong side of the barrier. Their connection to the universe was severed. One by one, their massive ships went dark and drifted, powerless into the black hole's embrace. Across the galaxy, every remaining devourer machine suddenly stopped functioning. Without their connection to the hive mind at the galactic center, they became nothing more than lifeless metal. The Indomitable should have been destroyed in the blast, but human engineering had one last surprise. The ship's experimental shield. System held just long enough for the crew to reach minimum safe distance. "Fleet command to all ships," came Admiral Kwan's weary voice. "The enemy is defeated. The galaxy is safe." 6 months later, President Yoon Hai-ri stood before the assembled Galactic Council in the great chamber where humanity had once been rejected. She was no longer a president of just Earth. She was the first human supreme chancellor of the Galactic Council. "The Devourer threat is ended," she announced. "The quantum barrier will hold for millions of years. No similar machine consciousness will ever threaten this galaxy again." The alien representatives, now serving under human leadership, listened with respect and gratitude. The species that had once called humans primitive now looked to them for guidance and protection. Vextari, the crystal being who had led the rejection, 15 years earlier approached Chancellor Yoon after the session. "We were wrong," the alien leader said simply. "We confused sophistication with strength, advancement with wisdom. Your species taught us that sometimes the greatest power comes from those who remember how to struggle. The galaxy is at peace." "Now," replied Chancellor Yoon. "But we've learned not to let that peace make us weak. The Guardian Corps will make sure we're ready for whatever comes next." Near the viewing windows of Nexus Prime Station, an elderly man watched alien children play with human youngsters in the station's parks. Captain Lee Dong-woo, now Director of Galactic Defense, remembered the day he had been escorted from this same station in defeat. "They laughed at us once," he said to his aide, a young woman named Lieutenant Kim So-young. "Now they learn from us." "Do you think they've really changed, sir?" asked the lieutenant. Director Lee smiled as he watched a human child teaching an alien how to play an Earth game called soccer. "They're learning. And maybe that's enough. We didn't want to conquer them. We just wanted them to understand that. Different doesn't mean inferior." The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity's greatest victory wasn't defeating the Devourers. It was proving that strength comes not from perfection, but from the willingness to adapt, to fight, and to never give up hope. In the depths of space, the barrier around the galactic center glowed with quiet energy, a permanent reminder of the day that humanity saved everything. And in the halls of Nexus Prime Station, former enemies worked together to build a future where no species would ever again be dismissed for being different. The Council had rejected humanity once. They would never make that mistake again.